Dinner tastes different until your children get the money paid back because they're eating not with their mom and dad, not with the grandparents of their children, but with their master. And turkey just doesn't taste the same when you eat it with your master. Oh, well, it's not that way in our family. See, what that's called is denial and stupidity. The reality is this is how it really works. Loaning money to someone, a friend or a relative, doesn't help. We have popped that myth. All right. Now, myth. By co-signing a loan, I'm helping out a friend or a relative. Truth. The bank requires a co-signer because this is someone who's not going to repay. Why is this hard to figure out? This is a bank whose very job is to lend money. They don't make money unless they lend money, and they have deemed your relative or your friend to not be worthy of a loan. But you, in your all-knowing might and power, will overstep those bounds and go, I just know them different than you do. No, you don't. They're statistically a deadbeat looking for a place to happen. And let me tell you what happens when you co-sign. You will end up paying the bill. I've co-signed for 2 loans in my life. I paid both of them. One poor fella co-signed for me when I was going broke, and he ended up paying that. I had to go back and pay him back. It was a friend, but it strained the friendship. Just the same. Because he just assumed Dave was going to pay for it. Well, Dave would have paid for it, but he's stinking money. And that's how that works. And you know, I've seen grandfathers loan their grandkids money to get a car at 20 years old, and then they don't see them for a decade because the loan goes bad. If you've got someone in your family that needs some help and you're thinking about co-signing a loan for them or you're thinking about loaning them money, don't. If you have money and you think that they need the money, it's family, it's blood. Give them the money and don't expect it back. So with co-signing and lending, don't go mess up your relationships. That's a myth. Certainly okay to ask anybody to co-sign a loan, but I wouldn't recommend co-signing a loan to anyone, and I wouldn't recommend getting a co-signer. I think it's a stupid idea. If you need a co-signer, it's because you're not ready to borrow. And most of the time what we'd be talking about on something like that's a car, or maybe some other thing that you should be saving up to pay for to start with. So I don't think you ought to get the loan, and I'm sure your parents shouldn't co-sign for you. Myth. Cash advance, payday lending, rent to own, title pawning, and tote the note lots are services to lower income people to help them get ahead. Truth. These are horrible, greedy ripoffs that aren't needed and benefit no one but the owner of these companies. If you're running one of these companies, you're taking advantage of the poor, you're oppressing the poor, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Stop it. 800%, 1,800%, 500%. I mean, you think credit cards are bad at 18%, you ought to deal with these characters. According to Sea Power magazine, military right now, military is one of the most aggressively targeted audiences by these people. As a matter of fact, I've visited a lot of military bases, and you know, when you leave a lot of military bases in America, installations across America, as you leave the base or the installation and you're driving out the road, what you've got on each side of the road for about 3 miles is stupid. Stupid of all kinds, right there just outside the gates, isn't it? And these young guys and gals that have just gotten into the military with their first paycheck, a lot of them just out of high school are out there, and they get tied up with these payday lenders so bad that the federal government had to pass a law, if you're in the military, you can't pay but 30% instead of 800% to a payday lender. Because what's happening is the payday lending is the #1 reason sailors are losing their security clearance and they're getting a cut in pay because they get downgraded in pay grade when they lose their security clearance. It's killing us across the board. Not just military, everybody's falling for this junk. 80% of millionaires in America, though, listen to this, are first-generation rich. So how does that go into this other thing? Well, what I figured out is this. Tom Stanley in the book The Millionaire Next Door says 80% of America's millionaires are first-generation rich. That means they started with nothing, did smart stuff, and became millionaires. 8 out of 10 of them. Which is like the opposite of what we're talking about here, isn't it? And what I started thinking about is, you don't see these greedy rip-off things we're talking about in the rich end of town, do you? You don't see rent to own in the high rent district. You don't see title pawning or payday lending in the high rent district, do you? It's in the poor end of town, isn't it? You know why? Because there's two types of people in the poor end of town. There's broke people and there's poor people. And there's a difference. Mike Todd says, just like Dave Ramsey says, I have been broke, but I've never been poor. Amen. Poor is a state of mind. Broke is I'm passing through, I ain't gonna live here long. I don't like this place. It's a mentality difference, isn't it? And what I have figured out is if you do rich people stuff, even if you're broke, if you do and think and buy and spend and save and budget like rich people, eventually you get to be But if you're rich or if you're poor and you do poor people stuff, like these rip-off things, you know what you're going to be? Poor. It's behaviors, isn't it? I mean, if you're rich and you start running around with title pawning, you start running around with payday lending, you start getting ripped off and doing all these stupid things with money, in one generation you can undo what it took 3 generations to build, can't you? You can blow it all. And you can start from nothing, 80% of them did that are millionaires, and you can do smart stuff, rich people stuff, and get to be rich people. That's good news for people like me, because I had to do it twice. I had to go with a do-over. I got Mother May I penalty steps for stupidity and had to start to walk again. And so what you got to do is you got to think, what are rich people doing with money? And if I do rich people stuff, I get to be rich people. It doesn't matter where you live or where you are now. You're just passing through. You're either rich heading towards poor or poor heading towards rich. Or poor going to stay poor or rich going to stay rich. These are possibilities, right? They're the only 4 possibilities. And it's based on the type of people you interact with, like these characters. So these people aren't services to the lower income people. These people are ripping them off. They're getting rich on them too. But it's blood money. It's not good money. It's kind of dangerous money. So that one is definitely, we're serving lower income people. That's a myth. Done. Not doing that one. Myth. Playing the lottery or other forms of gambling will make me rich. Then why, when I see the line to buy the lottery tickets, there's no rich people in the line? Why is it always Daryl and his other brother Daryl?
Oh, it's entertaining to me to lose money. I do it for entertainment.
It's entertaining? Why don't you just get some 20s and drive down the interstate and cause a car wreck by throwing them out? That'd be entertaining. I mean, just throwing money out the window. I mean, we might as well do something fun with it, you know? Go over at the mall, cause a riot or something, you know? But it's fun to lose money. The truth is the lottery is a tax on the poor and on people who can't do math. Because these are who play. Texas Tech did a study of the Texas lottery, and they found that people without a high school diploma spend an average of $173 a month playing the lottery there. College graduates don't spend $173 a month. They spend $49 a month on average. These are among the people who play the lottery. That's the difference. Any study that's ever done the lottery, when they do a zip code study on where the sales are the highest, where the revenue is generated, it's always in lower income zip codes. We're using the lottery to fund scholarships in our state. Well, that's real noble. Poor people sending middle class and rich people's kids to college. That's just brilliant. It's just brilliant. It's what it is. And you know, it's not a matter, this is a statistical fact. It's not even a moral statement. And it's not a biblical statement or a spiritual statement. I could make those about it that are an overlay on this subject, but this is just a simple statistical analysis. So let's try this. If you got someone or you know someone that's kind of, I don't know, plagued by the lottery. $173 if they don't have a high school diploma, $49 if they do, if they're a college graduate. So what if we took $50 a month, that's the low end of that spectrum, put it in a mutual fund, oh, I don't know, let's play the lottery from 20 to 70 years old. How much do you think that'd be? $1,900,000 every time. Not like one time out of 8 gazillion. Well, somebody's got to win. Every time you do this, you'll win. Somebody's got to win. That's what people say they're stupid about this subject. And I hope I'm making some of you mad and miserably uncomfortable. It's a gift I have. Another study showed that those with annual incomes under $20,000, if they have a family of 4, that's a poverty level, are playing the lotto twice as much as anybody who makes over $40,000. It's a tax on the poor. It is not a way to build wealth. That's the truth. Myth. Car payments are a way of life. You'll always have a car payment. How many of you are like me? You've said that, or you know someone that says that all the time. You're always going to have a car payment. I've noticed as I've kind of watched this for a while, the people that say that, and this is not lower income people, this is middle class and upper class people. You're always going to have a car payment. They always kind of have this lilt, this kind of a whine in their voice as they're saying it. You know, you're always going to have a car payment. You might as well accept it. It's just the way it is. Life is rough, so get a low payment and a nice car. You need to enjoy things while you can. You know, the little man can't get ahead. Well, I just told you 80% of America's millionaires are first generation rich. Where's this little man that's having so dad blame much trouble? You live in the greatest land the world has ever known. Opportunity abounds everywhere. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. It's hard. It's just worth it. And this is the only place that's true. Visit other countries. They are totally confused on this subject. I mean, America's got our challenges, but honey, we got it made. We can do anything we want to do. But we can also decide that you're always going to have a car payment. And you know what? Somebody will help you always have a car payment. Well, you probably ought to sit down with your parents and have a meeting and talk about the debt that this car represents. Is there another way we can take care of the transportation issue working together that wouldn't involve your parents being in debt? And if not, then let's work together to try to get that particular car paid off. Staying away from car payments by driving a reliable used car is what the typical millionaire does. That's how they became a millionaire. But in America, you got to remember, we love our cars, don't we? I mean, your car is your identity. We will spend $800 a month, $600 a month to impress somebody at a stoplight we'll never meet. I mean, we bust it for a car. I mean, don't mess with my car. Start talking to me about no car. I mean, I'm going to have a nice car. That's just the way it is. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, boys? Boys love cars. Now, some of you girls love cars too, I know, but most of you just think they're a large purse. You know, the average car payment in America today, according to USA Today, is $464 a month. You know, if you take $464 a month, invested in a decent growth stock mutual fund from the age of 30 to the age of 70, if you get out of debt and you're in here in your 20s right now, and you start instead investing what you would have spent on rust buckets, then guess what? Wow. That turns into $5.5 million. Hope you like the car.
We Americans have a love fest going on with our cars. We love them. Where else on earth can you find a couple who is flat broke and living paycheck to paycheck, but with two brand new cars in the driveway? The problem is our mindset. We've been bombarded with the notion that we'll always have a car payment. So when the car starts to show a little wear, we just run off and sign a $26,000 note for a new one. Recent statistics show that 1/3 of car buyers sign up for a 6-year loan at an average interest rate of 9.6%. Among these buyers, the average price of the car is just over $26,000. This means that 1/3 of the cars you see on the street are dragging a $475 payment behind them. And what the car dealer won't tell you is that your awesome new car loses about 25% of its value the instant you drive it off the lot. After 4 years, your sweet ride has lost about 70% of its value, and you've still got 2 years of payments left on it. That means that after 6 years, you've paid almost $33,000 for your $26,000 car. which is now worth maybe $6,000. At that point, the normal person would get car fever again, run out and take out a new loan on another new car, and start all over again. But let's think differently for a minute. Say you want a brand new sports car that would normally cost you $475 a month, and the car you're driving now is worth around $1,500. If you take that $475 and pay yourself instead of paying the car dealer, you'll have $4,750 in just 10 months. Add that to the $1,500 you can get for your current car, and you can pay cash for a used $6,250 car. That's a major upgrading car in just 10 months without ever owing the bank a dime. But let's keep going. If you kept saving at that rate, you'd have another $4,750 in another 10 months. Chances are, less than a year later, you could sell your $6,250 car for about what you paid for it. This means that you can step up again with cash into an excellent $11,000 used car just 20 months from today. Not bad. So just for fun, let's carry out our new plan for that full 6 years by paying that $475 car payment to yourself in a good mutual fund for the next 52 months. Let's just see what happens. At the end of 6 years, your $11,000 paid-for car has just about run its course. It's been great, but it's time to upgrade. But hey, that's no problem. You've got a mutual fund specifically earmarked as a car replacement fund. You know how much is sitting in that fund right now? At the stock market average of 12%, you'd have about $32,000. Here's where things get nutty. If you go buy a car with cash for $12,000, you'd still have $20,000 sitting in your car fund earning about 12%. Do you know what that means? Even if you never add another dollar to the car fund, you'll be able to buy $14,000 to $18,000 cars every 5 years from now on. The interest you'd earn on that mutual fund will pay for your cars for the rest of your life. That's free cars, man. That's what happens when your money starts working for you. You'll never have a car payment again. And do you know what you can do if you don't have a car payment? Do you know what your car payments are costing you? You remember that $475 payment you were about to start handing over to the car dealer? If you were to invest that in a good mutual fund every month instead of sending it to the car dealer, you'd have over $100,000 in just 10 years. At 20 years, you'd have about $470,000. At 30 years, it would be $1.6 million. And at 40 years, that former car payment would be worth $5,588,385. This one decision about a car can literally change your life. You can drive 3 cars and retire a millionaire with just this one decision. Drive free, retire rich. And by the way, when you're a millionaire, you can drive pretty much whatever you want.
All right, and so now what you're going to do is, let me get to the right one. Oh, not that. All right, so you're going to get into our consumers Schoology. And then week of November 2nd, this is that first video that I was telling you about. If you have not seen that one, watch that one. It's on YouTube. This is an assignment that goes along with that, the hidden cost of credit. Today's assignment is the realities of cash advances. And it's not up here. So I'm gonna upload that right now. I'm not sure why that it's not there. But I'll upload that, and then you can get started on that. And it's due kind of the end of the day, because this afternoon you're supposed to work on this stuff as well. Any questions or anything? You're